Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what is going on? It is your man, Lee Sanders of the RCWR Show, and it is that time once again as I welcome you all to another Call That Match edition. As this go round, we're going to be tackling WWE Payback. You guys pumped up? Are you all excited about this pay-per-view? I have one or two thoughts I'd like to provide to you all about this pay-per-view coming up this Sunday. It's going to be coming to you and I from Los Angeles, California at the SAP Center. Should be interesting to see how that's going to be lining up with some potential NBA action, as I know a lot of you guys are really into the NBA playoffs right now. As always, when we do these special streams for you guys, I love hearing from you all, so make sure that on top of throwing the thumbs up, the sharing, the retweeting, all that good jazz, if you haven't done so already, make sure you're giving me a follow on Twitter and Facebook at the RCWR Show. And depending on the volume of comments that we get for this stream, since I'll be live for the next little bit, I may go on back and see what some of you guys are saying in the comment section. But for now, kick on back, pull up a chair, and let's get started, man. We're talking about WWE Payback. Alright, so, coming to us from California, can I be candid with you all? When I looked at this card, and I really did not pay any attention to this card, really not until now, one thing that just really jumps out at me off the break is the fact that we do not have Brock Lesnar on this card. I mean, let's really be for real. It's been almost a month since Brock Lesnar was last seen. It's been almost a month now. Think about it. Brock Lesnar hasn't been seen since WrestleMania when he won the WWE Universal title. And I gotta tell you, you look over on SmackDown, SmackDown has their own respected champion, and he's going to be representing this Sunday. Yet, no sign of Brock Lesnar whatsoever. No sign of Paul Heyman whatsoever. I gotta tell you, that just kind of rubs me the wrong way. Now, before a lot of you guys come at me and talk about the whole Brock Lesnar status, look, I know he's got the whole limited dates with the company. I'm not disputing that. For the record, in the case of Brock Lesnar, I particularly do not, I repeat, I do not have a problem with him operating on a limited part-time schedule. However, what I do have a problem with is this void that can be felt on the Raw side of things without Brock Lesnar in some shape or form. Even if he can't be there physically in person, I have a problem with the fact that MIA. I have a problem with the fact that the advocate, Paul Heyman, isn't saying anything on his behalf. And I kind of wish within retrospect, this would have been tackled in a really unique way. Now, in case you all haven't been checking out what's been going about on the Wrestling Beat today, WWE has a event that's going to be coming up in July. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the event is going to be called Great Balls of Fire or something to that effect. And I'm mentioning this event for a very unique reason. Brock Lesnar is going to be defending his Universal Championship at this event. And the press release, well, somewhat release, that WWE has given with the video package of this event that's going to be happening, they have dubbed it the first ever title defense of Brock Lesnar. So when you hear that, you're going, well, wait a minute, when it really counts the most, where the hell is the Brock Lesnar for Payback? And honestly, one of the ways that they could have tackled this, I personally feel there should have been some type of a storyline we could have seen played out on WWE Raw where basically maybe the Raw general manager, maybe Stephanie, whatever, maybe they wanted to do some type of a coronation of the new Universal Champion, welcome him with open arms, give him a nice ceremony, present to him a new Universal Championship belt. I'm not saying you would have had to revamp the title, but you definitely could have presented the title to him. And you know how they basically changed the plates, the side plates on the belt. They basically could have done something to that effect, but no, they didn't go that route. But that's definitely a route I would have taken. And as part of that storyline, I would have honestly only had Paul Heyman show up and basically say, hey, my client Brock Lesnar, he's met all his commitments. He has fulfilled every single obligation within his contract currently. If you all want to see him, and most importantly, you want to see that WWE Universal title again, you have our number. Let's all sit down. Of course, you know, I'll be there. I'll be there with Mr. Lesnar's attorneys. And I'm sure that monetarily wise, we could come to some type of a beneficial agreement that will please everybody, but especially it'll please my client, Brock Lesnar. And honestly, I would have been fine with that. If you would have at least given the impression to those watching at home, oh hell, Brock Lesnar wants to play hardball. He wants the big bucks. And every single time we see Paul Heyman always says, with regards to Brock Lesnar, Lesnar wants the big fight. He wants the big payday. And honestly, you could have easily been like, hey, look, my client might have the Universal title, but unless the money is right, he's not going to be fighting for you all anytime soon. So what are you guys going to do about it? What? Are you going to strip him of the title? What are you going to do? I think if they would have kind of went respectfully in that type of a direction, that could have at least got the talk going. And then also something that I have been saying for many months now, and any long time RCWR show listener can back me up on this. I have always been a firm believer that in the case of what's currently been happening, when occasionally we see part-timers come in and they get a run with the championship belt, like Goldberg, and of course you go back to what came about with Brock Lesnar the past couple of times, I've always kind of felt as though it really would have been an awesome idea whenever these talents were flying out to an episode of Raw, and or maybe we're going to be appearing on an edition of SmackDown. It really been an awesome idea to have them sit there with the production team and pre-record a lot of footage to the point you could have had enough to last a couple of weeks. And I've been telling you guys passionately, vocally for the past several months that if they operate like this, that basically, just think back to the old territory days. Anybody that remembers the old territory days, I've been talking about this like for months now. Basically, the way you could have set it up, you do like the AWA promotion where you have the talents, they go to the local city, wherever AWA is going to be televised weekly, right? You have all the talent go to that station. You have them cut their promos. You have them do their interviews. Everything is already preset. Everything is already done in advance. That way you have about, at least, if you do it right and you got the right production team and you already have the storyline mapped out, you have enough content that'll basically buy/tie viewers over for about 2 months, maybe even 3 months, until whoever that champion is able to come into that city and either make an appearance by defending the title or just make an appearance, period. That's how they used to do it back in the old territory days, especially like when you had the likes of Ric Flair that would come into the territories, or you had a Hulk Hogan, or you get the examples. So if they would have at least executed it from that standpoint, then you could have made up significant amount of time that Brock Lesnar is going to be away from the promotion. So just kind of marinate on that. And I think when you all collectively kind of really take a step back and you think about it, you'll kind of say, yeah, Lee, you're actually kind of right about that. I don't see anybody else coming at it from that type of standpoint that I'm presenting it to you all. Everybody's always moaning, complaining about Brock Lesnar being a part-timer. Everybody's always complaining about, hey, whenever these guys get the title, we rarely see them, but nobody really offers a great solution on how it can truly be tackled in a way where the absence can be explained. It can basically be negated. And until we really tackle it from that standpoint, I mean, stop and think about it. In this day and age that we're in, is it that hard to tell Brock Lesnar, hey, if you can maybe do a little something on Pinterest, if you could do a little something on Facebook, YouTube, or whatever, put some type of a video out there, nothing too long, just get people talking, do about 30 seconds, 90 seconds, or whatever. We can pretty much build off of that. The fact that, like, nobody has, like, sat down and tried to pump out as much content out of this guy as possible these past couple of times that he's been champion, I just think it is just a facepalm altogether, man. But I want to know what you guys think about this current situation that's going on with Lesnar as the champion, and if you feel that I have something going on here with how they really should be conducting themselves. I see Byron in the chat. He's saying consistent storyline continuity is also needed on both shows. That's true, but that's an entirely different topic for another time. I'm only spending the first several minutes talking about Lesnar because, like, when you look at the card, you're like, especially if you're aware of the brand splits, you're going, where is the Universal Championship? Where's Brock Lesnar? So let's see what happens with that now that I'm really putting that out there going forward. Other than that, I'm looking at the rest of the card. Another thing that jumps out to me that I just kind of shake my head wondering what's going on. So let me see if I got this straight. At one point, my man Finn Balor was supposed to be part of the pre-show. Am I understanding that right, boys and girls? Because the way this is looking right now, I'm looking at the card for Friday, April 28th. I guess a lot of people were pretty vocal about Finn Balor being on the pre-show card because as it stands right now, I do not even see Finn Balor on the card. Now, unless I'm missing something, unless there's been some type of breaking news that's come about, because I haven't been paying attention to the news feeds off and on today, so I'm actually going to be relying on you all for the next little bit. I'm going to be doing this live stream. Doesn't look like Finn Balor is any longer on the card, and quite honestly, if you ask me straight up, did I think it was a huge mistake initially to have Finn Balor be part of the pre-show card? Yes, I thought that was just really stupid. Because the man just came back. He hasn't even been back for like a month. I don't even think he has 3 weeks under his belt. Maybe this coming Monday would give him 3 weeks. But yeah, I did kind of scratch my head at the sight of that, seeing that he was going to be part of the pre-show card initially. I'm glad they changed that, at least the way that it's looking right now. As your new pre-show matchup consists of Enzo Amore and Big Cass. They're going to be taking on Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson. It's going to be a traditional tag team matchup. Everything that's been going on so far with these two guys, with this particular tag team, I'm fine with this being a pre-show matchup. I'm actually fine with this being a pre-show matchup. I wish that maybe something could happen that could maybe give fans a reason to want to check out this match, because honestly, we've seen these two tag teams lock it up quite a few times, to the point, for me, to each its own, but for me, it's gotten kind of exhausting watching these guys continue to go at it. So as far as who needs to win this, I personally do not care. Now, if you were to maybe put a stipulation out there that whoever came out of this match the victor, that maybe they would get a shot at the Raw Tag Champions as early as Monday's Raw, then I would say, okay, well, now I'm interested. But until some type of a stipulation gets put out there, me personally, I could care less about the match between Big Cass, Amore taking on Gallows and Anderson. But if I had to pick, honestly, I have been seeing Amore and Big Cass get their butts handed to them the past couple of weeks now. I would like to see some type of a shake-up, but then at the same time, I would also like to see Gallows and Anderson continue to chase after whoever is holding on to those Raw tag titles right now. A little bit of a toss-up, but honestly, I'm kind of going a little bit more towards Omori Big Cass. Just the fact that they have really been eating a lot of crow the past couple of weeks. My man Enzo has been getting thrown around like a rag doll. I would love to see them finally kind of come back on top just for a hot second. I think they actually somewhere down the road would have a really nice program against the Hardys. So I'm going to go with them for your pre-show. Yeah, just to make a mental note to you guys, originally Finn Balor was supposed to be part of a special segment, Miz TV, that was supposed to be happening during the pre-show. Maybe they're now moving it to the actual pay-per-view card. Just a little bit of wishful thinking right there. Very well could be the case. Who knows? Let's go to our next matchup. Actual pay-per-view card we go. I see Bayley is going to be defending the Raw Women's title against Alexa Bliss. If you have been checking out my show for the past couple of weeks, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders, which you can normally check out every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com as soon as SmackDown goes off the air. And if you can't check it out live, it's available on the downloads on various platforms. The iTunes, the Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio. It's everywhere, man. Pretty soon it's going to also be available for Android, iOS devices. I'm working on it, man. I'm working hard for you guys. But yes, that's one cheap plug. I think I got one or two more plugs I'll be doing, but that's enough plugging for now. But no, man, as I've been saying on my show the past couple of weeks, when it comes to Bayley, my God, man, and I got to give a shout out to my good friend over at the Epic Sports channel, because I had talked about very passionately the problem that is going on with Bayley. Decent in-ring talent, no doubt about that, but the promos are the drizzles. There is no passion, there is no energy, and it's not consistent on top of all that, and it's just nerve-wracking. And I had really appreciated the unanimous support from everybody that was commenting about what I said in that particular moment. I thought it was funny because I had watched the number of likes, dislikes. I watched it skyrocket dramatically in the span of like a 24-hour period, because the video itself, that segment alone on Epic Sports, it had basically cracked over 1,000 views. And at the time, it was like 28 likes, and there was probably 2, maybe 3 dislikes. And then within a 24-hour period, I guess maybe somebody was really pissed off, and maybe they were connected with like a super Bayley fan page. I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, hey man, this guy's attacking our hero. Let's show him. Let's make it hurt where it counts. Give him those dislikes. And the next thing you know, I wake up the next day to see how the video was doing. And then all of a sudden, it was like, I haven't checked it probably like a day or so, but last I saw it, it was like 38 likes, 28 dislikes. So I'm kind of going, my God, I guess the Bayley fans didn't particularly appreciate what I had to say about their hero. But check that clip out. It was a great clip. I think I talked for like about 15 minutes about the matter. But in a nutshell, just to kind of put a nice pretty little ribbon on it, Bayley comes out with the drizzling promos. They are so monotone. There's no energy in them. There's no passion. None of that. It's just the same crappy little promo. Now, some people would say, well, all due respect, but when Alexa Bliss comes out, yeah, but see, here's the thing with Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss, as far back as to her tenure in NXT, that girl oozed charisma. That girl was able to play off of the crowd, interact with them, not ignore them, unlike how some of the other girls do. They just stand there in the ring, just bobbing their head like a damn bobble doll. No, Alexa Bliss is one of those girls. She hears it, and you can just see her brain. You just look at her eyes, and her brain is just going. She's trying to figure out what her witty little comeback is going to be. And 8 out of 10, she always comes right back at the crowd. The girl is always improving on the mic. The girl is always improving in the ring. And she has my respect. I love it when I see somebody trying. And that is one of the main reasons why Alexa Bliss is over on Raw. Like I told you guys earlier this week, probably one of the best things to have happened with this superstar shakeup was for Charlotte to go to SmackDown and for Alexa Bliss to go to Raw. I thought that was one of the most smartest trade-offs that could have possibly happened, because in all honesty, with Charlotte, she had been to the dance so many times on Raw. She's pretty much been in every single possible matchup you could possibly think of without, honestly, going into a short-term feud with Nia Jax. And when I say a short-term feud, maybe like for 2 pay-per-views or whatever, or a 2-month feud, probably the only thing she didn't do. But she was starting to get to that point where it's like, okay, this girl's been champion, you don't know how many times on the flagship show. Like, what more can you do with her? You want to keep her heel because she's just so organically good at it, just like her daddy. I thought that was the best thing to happen for Charlotte Flair, her going over to SmackDown. Alexa Bliss, I wish she could have continued to stay on SmackDown, but I think when you just look at the current landscape of what's going on with the Raw side of things, she's definitely appreciated. I think she's greatly needed over there on the Raw side. So I actually don't have a problem with how things are going on. But she has always been able to handle herself in a very heated, smarky environment when it comes to the fans. And she just has it. All that and then some, to the point I want to see this girl succeed. So, beating around the bush a little bit, let me go for the jugular. I'm seeing a new Raw Women's Champion, Alexa Bliss. I know that's going to tick off a lot of hardcore Bayley fans, but for me personally, I think what's currently going on with Bayley, look, my estimation, I'm entitled to my opinion just as much as you all are entitled to your opinion, but when we disagree, if anything, man, let's just have a debate. Let's have a healthy debate. Help me understand your view. I'll help you understand where I'm coming from. But from where I'm coming from on this very night, I feel the Bayley experiment has run its course and that it is time to pull the trigger on something new, something refreshing, something that can kind of give a little bit of a slight shake up as far as new programs, rivalries, and all that. I gotta go with my girl, Alexa Bliss. Like I said with regards to Bayley, Bayley comes off as an individual that is really good at chasing after the champion. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said on my show earlier this week, she almost has that Randy Orton syndrome, which is basically Randy Orton for all the years, 15 years to be exact, that we've seen him in the WWE. Every single time it comes to him chasing after whoever is the champion at that point, there is a really good build-up for Randy Orton where the crowd, they like start to come around. They're really getting behind him. They're rooting him on. And like everybody wants to see Randy Orton chase after this champion. Everybody wants to see Randy Orton beat that champion, take that belt off of him. I don't think that was really so much the case with Bray Wyatt. I think a lot of people were pretty vocal about their disdain for Bray Wyatt pretty much coming off as a transitional champion, but different topic, another time. But once Randy Orton gets to the dance, he gets stale real quick. Same case with my girl Bayley. Like, she was really good. Remember, when she first came onto the scene, everybody, oh, great, glad you're here. About time. Yeah, alright, NXT, holding it down, representing strong. But I would say probably after about 2.5 months, after the honeymoon was over, it's like, yeah, so what else is new? Just stop and think. Even if you're a hardcore Bayley fan and you don't really like a lot of what I'm saying about your hero right now, if you really just stop and you really think about it, you look at everything that's been coming about with the fact that she is so bad on the microphone, you have to have constantly a supporting cast around her just to help her get over a segment. This isn't a Kevin Owens Jericho thing. It's not like maybe she's part of some type of a faction. No. that's how much she is struggling. And the fact that WWE upper brass isn't tackling this head on, they just continue to, as somebody had said in the forums, commenting on what I said about her earlier this week, WWE comes off as if the one thing that they care about is that color of money. And as long as the merchandise are selling, everything else is all good, which sooner or later they're going to have to tackle that. But for now, I say let Bayley kind of go back to the back of the line, so to speak. Let Alexa Bliss have a run at it, man. Seriously. So I'm seeing Alexa Bliss as your new Raw Women's Champion. How that's possibly going to come about, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if maybe Alexa Bliss had pulled it off hook or by crook. I think she might do something a little bit shady. I could see her maybe taking advantage of a distraction that happens in the ring. I don't know if maybe something occurs where she's trying to go for some type of a foreign object and the referee confiscates it from her, tries to toss it out of the ring, and she uses that opportunity to do something wicked to Alexa. It's been a good minute since I've seen a female superstar take a pair of brass knucks or whatever and just knock the hell out of another girl with them. I would like to see maybe something like that happening. Maybe a cradle, who knows, schoolboy pin, dirty pin, whatever, but I see her doing something shady coming about to get the title that way. Seth Rollins takes on Samoa Joe. Told you this match was going to be happening. I said this almost like right before WrestleMania had came about. For me, this is pretty much all about Seth Rollins getting that payback from what had went down a couple of months back with that little run-in he had with Samoa Joe. We all remember that. We don't need to rehash that, right? Although I think it's kind of interesting, WWE didn't give us any type of a video package to basically document what's happened in these two's rivalry so far, pretty much how we got to this point. You pretty much would have just had to been watching Raw all these weeks to be like, oh yeah, that's how it happened. I remember, but like to somebody that's just casually tuning in and it's like, okay, why should I care about this match other than the two people that's going to be facing each other? Like, what more is there? So we know the storyline that's basically here. I'm looking at Seth Rollins to get back his, I won't say his momentum, because his momentum is there. But I guess if you want to get technical, storyline wise, Seth Rollins owes Samoa Joe for that supposed injury that went down months back. So I'm looking at Seth Rollins picking up the W on this one. How's he going to pull that one off? Look, I think it's going to be a nice, good pace of a match. I think the story that's probably going to be told in this match, Samoa Joe, as we've kind of seen the past couple of weeks that these two have been kind of interacting with each other physically, Samoa Joe keeps trying to go for the knees of Seth Rollins, figures that it's not exactly at 100%. So I really wouldn't be too surprised if part of Samoa Joe's MO going into this is to focus on those knees. I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of, I hope it's not overkill. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing if you're gonna keep attacking that same limb, but like, I think the fans' interests are gonna go down south real quick if for the whole entire match it's just overkill on the knees. But I think part of the story that's going to be told in this match is Joe focusing on those knees, trying to get them nice and worked up, working on that back, trying to get him ready for that submission maneuver hold of his. But I see Seth Rollins, when it's all said and done, he's going to pick up the W. I got him picking up the W by that new finishing move. We were talking about it on the show earlier this week. A lot of you guys like the idea of Seth Rollins calling that new knee strike to the face the Kingslayer. That doesn't have a bad ring to it, quite honestly. I know there was one name mentioned earlier, Rainmaker, and we talked about Okada and New Japan, and yeah, that ain't happening, but I like Kingslayer. I gotta admit, I think you guys might be a little bit on to something. What did I call it? I think I called it Lights Out. And I kind of agree with you all that it is a bit generic. I even said it was generic as soon as I had put the name out there. But hopefully they'll be able to unveil the name for this pretty soon. Next matchup. Neville defends the Cruiserweight Championship against Austin Aries. A lot of us were under the impression that Austin Aries was maybe going to get the job done and become the Cruiserweight Champion at WrestleMania. It didn't play out that way. So, you guys gotta forgive me because I'm a little bit out of the loop when it comes to 205 Live. I've tried my damnedest to watch a couple of episodes, but it just doesn't keep me going, man. It just doesn't grab me like that. So instead, I just pretty much rely on Raw and SmackDown to kind of get caught up to speed on some key matchups that's been happening on 205. This being one of them. Man, honestly, is it just me or is Austin Aries kind of losing a little bit of whatever he had when he first came back? Kind of seems like he's losing just a little bit of steam, just a little bit. I honestly think, oh man, this is a tough one right here, man, because I really love what Neville has been doing. My man has been on the roll, but I think you gotta try to still capitalize on what Austin Aries has been able to build organically for himself, I might add, these past several weeks. You got to capitalize on that. I think it's time for some new blood. And then considering what is going on with TJ Perkins, who's now taken, just got a brainstorm, however. We've seen TJ Perkins and Neville form some type of a alliance, so to speak, the past couple of weeks. So that new layer, I don't know. I'm kind of second guessing this now. Yeah, you know what? I think the numbers game could be against Austin Aries this Sunday. I gotta admit that. Now that Neville has pretty much awoken TJ Perkins, if you will, yeah, they got a little alliance thing going on. How much of a factor is TJ Perkins going to play in this matchup? I think TJ Perkins may be the one to cost Austin Aries a shot at becoming the new Cruiserweight Champion, and Austin Aries is going to have to figure out a way to nullify him and take him out in such fashion where he's finally going to be able to get his hands on Neville one-on-one. I don't know if maybe the answer would be do a no DQ match, or if maybe you do a Cruiserweight Championship match inside of some type of steel structure, or maybe you put a stipulation out there where no interference is allowed. If anybody interferes, they're automatically suspended indefinitely right there on the spot. Maybe you kind of have to do something along those lines. I'm not really sure, but I think that's probably where this is going to eventually be heading. So if you ask me straight up, this Sunday, Neville retains some type of help. I don't know how it's going to go down, how it'll play out, but it's going to be because of TJ Perkins. As a result, Aries will be distracted for the next couple of weeks as he's going to try to get his hands on Perkins before focusing on Neville once again. I don't know if maybe Gentleman Jack kind of slides back in there meantime or what, but to be continued. Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, House of Horrors match. Yes, it is a House of Horrors match. Hey, wait a minute. I thought this was going to be for the WWE SmackDown title. I thought it was going to be for the WWE title. As it stands right now, I'm looking at the card. I don't even see it being for the title, which is kind of weird because when you look at the match for the United States title, if Jericho wins, Jericho and the US title head on over to freaking SmackDown. So what exactly is going on here with this particular matchup? I'm gonna have to rely on you guys for this because I was totally under the impression it was going to be for the SmackDown title. But House of Horrors match, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt. Oh man. Oh man. How crude would that be for Bray Wyatt
Randy Orton, I want to face you in the House of Horrors match.
How messed up would that be if my man Bray Wyatt, who basically out of the top of his mind, like storyline wise, comes up with this House of Horrors match, right? He comes up with this concept and he gets beat at his own game. Like, how messed up would that be? I don't know about you guys, but like, I actually am not trying to see that happen. How you gonna have this? Because just stop and think about it. Be realistic for a second. Bray Wyatt is the one that challenged Randy Orton to this type of match. He knows exactly what is gonna occur in this matchup. Randy Orton's like, dude, I don't know what a House of Horrors match is, but yeah, whatever, dude. I'll face you. Yeah, sure, whatever. Right? So like, that just storyline wise, you would think give the advantage to Bray Wyatt. Now, if you ask me straight up, Bray Wyatt needs this win. He needs this win because storyline wise, this is pretty much his match. Not to mention, on top of all that, Bray Wyatt being a good sport, he could have put his foot down, he could have protested, but he didn't. He did the deed. He did what was asked of him. He dropped the strap to Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Now, some people will feel the way that they feel, but hey, for Bray Wyatt to be in a pretty good spot on that WrestleMania card, getting a great WrestleMania payday on top of all that, he ain't really going to be complaining like that, especially when he gets to go all over the world, see a bunch of people, interact with a lot of fans, all that jazz. It is what it is. But Bray Wyatt has to pick up some type of momentum now that he's gone over to the Raw side of things. You would think, hands down, look, I don't know what we can expect out of this. I'm not sure if it's going to be a little bit similar to kind of what we saw at WrestleMania, or if maybe it's going to get the Broken Hardy treatment. I hope, if you ask me straight up, I hope that this particular matchup gets the Broken Hardy pre-production treatment. I hope that it is not taking place inside the middle of the ring. I hope that these two guys are going to be meeting in some type of a remote location, and they're going to be fighting, and then we just see all this cool, crazy crap that just goes down. And I'm going to put something out there that, like, I've yet to see anybody talk about. Now, granted, we got Matt Hardy, who's been teasing the hell out of Broken Hardy. And it's gotten to the point now where, like, Rebby Hardy's doing Damage Control. She's online saying, nah, man, ain't nothing happening with Impact Wrestling and WWE. Impact is probably putting their little thing, they put their own little spin to the story just to try to look face or whatever. They're not negotiating. And everybody's gonna have a nice big bowl and they're gonna eat that up real good, right? They're gonna eat it up like Ezekiel Elliott, gonna eat it up. But need I remind you guys that Jeff Hardy was telling people, oh yeah, no, as far as WWE, WrestleMania, yeah man, it's not happening. No, we're not going back. We got all these other commitments going on right now. Yeah, that's not happening. And then sure enough, they pop up at WrestleMania. So all I'm saying is, I just got like this weird idea. I mean, it's a long shot, but I think it would be kind of interesting if they do go this pre-production route. I think it would be really badass if, like, Broken Hardy, for just that one particular segment, made some type of a cameo. I think that would just make fans pop. This is like WWE's opportunity to do like some really crazy, zany stuff. When I hear this type of gimmick match, I'm honestly under the impression that, like, this could be WWE's their beta test, and trying to figure out how they could possibly approach Broken Hardy. So I'm going to be, in my advice to you all, I would pay very close attention to this matchup, and let's keep our fingers crossed and pray that it's not going to be
taking place inside the middle of the ring. Now look, if the first couple of minutes at the beginning or the last few minutes towards the end of this match, if it's going to be contested in the ring, that's fine. But I really hope a big bulk of this goes from a pre-production standpoint. As I said, this could be WWE's way of doing some type of a soft beta test and what could possibly work and what's not going to work. If in fact, and I feel in my bones that they are trying to figure out how they're going to go about this whole broken Hardy in the WWE universe. But as far as who comes out on top, I'm looking at my man Bray Wyatt. Come on. This is his match. He came up with it. Enough said. And that's going to do it. Randy Orton going forward. Look, he's still going to have the title, but he's going to have to deal with Jinder Mahal, who's been picking up a lot of momentum, building up a lot of great steam. Next matchup we go. Talking about the broken universe there, broken Hardys. We got the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff. They're going to be taking on Cesaro and Sheamus. It's going to be for the Raw tag titles. Should be a pretty good tag matchup. I'm a little bit more curious though, like we've seen Cesaro and Sheamus, they've really tried to be like the better sports the past couple of weeks now, always extending the handshake, not taking the cheap shots on the Hardys. Something's got to give right there. Somebody is going to have to do the handshake and just beat the living crap out of them. And I think it's going to be Cesaro and Sheamus. And I'm honestly all fine for it. Now, look, if WWE really likes what's going on with Cesaro and they want to try to do their best to still keep him as face, then honestly, the way that you can kind of bypass this is honestly, you could actually have Sheamus be the one that is the bitter sport and attack the Hardys. And amongst all the fiasco or whatever, maybe you could have Cesaro try his very best to be that peacekeeper or whatever, but he inadvertently gets bumped, attacked, whatever you want to call it. He loses his cool and he just starts going belligerent on the Hardys as well. I don't see this being over at Payback though. I got the Hardys retaining the titles, but post-match, as far as another handshake in the middle of the ring, arms being raised, I'm not seeing that go down. Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman. Ooh, damn. I really did not want to see this matchup this very soon, I must say. Oh, man. Two guys I actually give a damn about. Two guys I actually love. It's almost like, which child do you love the most? If I actually had to pick which child I love the most, I love Braun Strowman the most right now. There is nothing more I would love to see than him pick up the W on Roman Reigns. And just the current storyline that they're telling, Roman Reigns dislocated shoulder. Roman Reigns has bruised ribs. And it's like, okay, so he should not be at 100% then. Right? If he's got all this going on, then my man Braun Strowman should be able to expose those weaknesses and he should be able to pick up the win, right? Here's how I kind of see this playing out. If it were me booking this, I personally would have Kalisto interfere in this matchup. Just the way that he pretty much was embarrassed on Monday Night Raw. I am picturing at some point Kalisto coming in, trying to help out Roman Reigns, kind of reminding Braun Strowman, hey man, remember, I'm the one that beat you in that dumpster match. I'm still standing. I'm still here. I can kind of see them do a little something. Now, Braun Strowman, physically, he can have it his way with Kalisto. But because of him being so distracted, I could definitely see Roman Reigns capitalize with Superman punch and or a spear, pick up the win that way. I think that is the one element that you're going to need right now when it's all said and done. And then afterwards, you got to separate Roman and Braun for a little bit. If it means the next time they lock up is at SummerSlam, fine, let it go down at SummerSlam. But I want to see these two guys get broken up. Roman needs this win now more than ever. Just everything that has been coming about with his character the past couple of weeks. I mean, you almost forget that this was the guy that beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania several weeks back. You almost kind of have to remind yourself that, considering everything that's been happening with him in recent weeks. So he needs this W. And then there's also that selfish part of me, just everything that's been happening in his personal life with the loss of his older brother. I think it's kind of like a foregone conclusion that he's going to get this, but the story that they tell in setting it up, I think if they go that route with Kalisto, I think people will be content with that type of finish. But yeah, Roman Reigns, I see him over Braun Strowman. One more matchup to talk about, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, United States title. If Jericho wins the title, he will be transferred to SmackDown. So, as it stands right now, we got Kevin Owens. He is doing his thing on SmackDown as the United States champion. This is a tricky one right here. So, if Jericho wins, he's transferred to SmackDown. So, in essence, he would then join Kevin Owens on SmackDown. Am I understanding that right? Jericho's always been a Raw guy, man. Even he's admitted over the years, he loves performing in front of a live crowd. He loves being on Raw because anything can and will happen on Monday Night Raw. Just that adrenaline that he's able to get, knowing that you're live, knowing that anything could like spontaneously, it could just organically happen. I don't see Jericho going over to SmackDown. Would it be nice if that were to happen? Yeah, but I need my Jericho on Raw, man. I need to continue to say Raw is Jericho. I'm not seeing it happen. Honestly, I see Kevin Owens retaining the United States title now. I know there's some rumblings about Jericho. His final date with the WWE apparently has been revealed. I'm only going to take that with a grain of salt because so many times over the years, Jericho's last date revealed, and then it turns out he gets some type of an extension. One thing is for certain, he will be taking time off because he's got the whole tour going on with Fozzy. Fozzy getting ready to drop another album. He's also going to be working on another book. I mean, he's got his hands dipped into a lot of various projects right now. So he's definitely going to be having a busy summer. But Kevin Owens, I'm seeing retain the United States title over Jericho. All right. So once again, during your pre-show, I am looking at Enzo Amore, Big Cass. I'm looking at them to pick up the W against Gallows and Anderson. I've got Bliss becoming your new Raw Women's Champion. I am seeing Seth Rollins defeat Samoa Joe. I've got Neville retaining his Cruiserweight title over Aries. A little bit of help from TJ Perkins. Bray Wyatt wins the first ever House of Horrors match. Roman Reigns, I see him over Braun Strowman. Hardy Boys retain their Raw Tag titles. Kevin Owens retains his United States title. Any predictions for Miz, Finn Balor, if it is going to happen, if there is still going to be that Miz TV segment with Finn Balor? I personally wouldn't mind seeing my man Gallows and Anderson come out during the actual card and maybe get in the face just to kind of keep up with storyline continuity. I wouldn't mind seeing Gallows and Anderson get in the face of Finn Balor and say, hey man, thought we were good brothers. Thought we were brothers for life, man. After everything that we've been through, like you forget about the history that we've had since way before we came to the WWE. Did you forget what we were doing over in Japan, man? Like, what the hell? Where's your loyalty, man? I could see something like that playing about. Finn Balor basically saying, hey, man, times have changed. I'm not exactly that same person anymore. You know, I've moved on. I've evolved. You know, it is what it is. Here in the WWE, it's pretty much every man for himself. I could kind of see Finn Balor kind of coming at them like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there was some type of a 2-on-1 attack on Finn Balor. As far as who could possibly come on down to the save, maybe help out Finn Balor, I don't know if maybe you queue up Seth Rollins once again, since the two of them seem to be kind of like buddy chum now, but that elephant in the room between those two guys in the history that they've had still hasn't quite been addressed yet, at least in a backstage segment. So I'm not really sure who could possibly come out other than Seth Rollins, or you can just let Finn Balor shine and just let him get eventually the upper hand on Gallows and Anderson. But if I'm going to be doing that Miz TV segment, that's kind of one of the ways that I would set it up. Just a little bit of wishful thinking right there. Do you actually feed Finn Balor to the Miz? Because we also got to entertain that. It's very well possible that maybe Miz and Finn Balor could get ready to embark on a feud. If so, I'm actually down for that. But with Bray Wyatt kind of looming around the corner for Finn, not really sure if you really should be going that route, but you could juggle a couple of things if you want to multitask. We've seen WWE do it in the past with a couple of guys, so we'll just have to wait and see. But that's pretty much how I'm looking at WWE Payback coming about for this Sunday, man. I definitely want to hear from you guys, so do me a solid, post your comments on this video. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook at the RCWR Show, and don't forget, I will be live on YouTube and on Spreaker at 11:15 p.m. Eastern, or as soon as Payback concludes on the WWE Network. We'll be talking about all the matches. We'll be breaking it down. You know how we do it on our special after shows. So make sure you tune in. Check it out. All right. Now, for you Patreon members, keep your eyes peeled, because if not later on tonight, which is Friday night, for certain Saturday afternoon, stay connected with me on social media. You'll know I'm going to be dropping a special edition of 30 with Lee. That's going to be exclusive to our Patreon members only. And that's going to be followed up with a bonus 30 with Lee that'll be dropping on Monday for y'all to check out as well. So that is going to do it. Give me those thumbs up, those likes, those hearts, those shares, all that good jazz. And I will catch you guys this Sunday. Until then, I'm wishing all y'all to be safe, be kind to one another. I'll see you next go round. Adios!
Thanks for listening. An Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive.